Hello guys, my name is Max Wells. I'm from the Players Academy. Today we're going to be carrying on from last week's lesson where we mainly focused in on the major scale. We're going to be adding a few more scales to our playing today, starting off with the minor scale. So just like we covered in the last session, a scale is something we can use to expand what notes we play at any given time. We used the notes from the major scale to create a really happy sound last week, so now we're going to go in the opposite direction and use the notes from the minor scale to create more of a sad sound. So we're going to be keeping with the key of A, which is the 5th fret on our E string. 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So it's the same root as last time. Just remember, as long as you've learned the shape, in this case it's the minor, but if you remember the major shape, as long as you play that same shape from a different point on the E string, it'll be the major scale, but in that key. So G. The exact same applies to the minor scale. Okay, so let's have a look at the shape. So this is the minor shape now. Again, from that key of A, we've got our 5th fret on the E string. Go to the 7th fret. So now we're on the 8th fret. Down to the A string on the 5th fret. Same string, but now we're on the 7th fret. 8th fret. And we've got 2 more notes, so we're going down to the D string, 5th fret. And finishing off with the octave on that 7th fret. So, all together. Okay, so now we've got the minor shape down. Feel free to go back in the video and pause it on the diagram so you can have a little bit of a practice so you can get that down. But now we're going to look at something a little bit more bluesy with the major and minor versions of the pentatonic scale. Now these shapes can be a little bit easier to remember than the other scales because, like the name suggests, pentatonic is like the shape pentagon, which is a 5-sided shape, so the pentatonic scale is a 5-note scale. So another way of saying that, or another way of thinking about that, should I say, is a major pentatonic scale. It's just another way of saying a happy 5-note scale. So now let's have a look at the major scale again. Now to turn this into a pentatonic scale, we need to remove 2 of the notes. So now we have a major pentatonic scale. So it's a happy scale, but now it's going to sound a little bit more bluesy. So instead of, which was the major, now we have the pentatonic version. Now, just before we go over the frets, I'm going to move some of the frets around so there's only 2 notes on each string. Now, there's a couple reasons I find this shape a little easier to work with. Firstly, there's only 2 notes per string, so I can move around with my hand a little bit more easily. And secondly, later on when we learn to combine different scale shapes, only having 2 notes per string with this particular shape makes it a lot easier to learn it up and down the fretboard, which is something we're going to be looking into in a future lesson. Okay, so going over the notes of the pentatonic major scale, we've got, keeping with that key of A, we're on the 5th fret. we're going over to the 7th fret. Now we'll finish with the E string, because like I said before, we're only playing 2 notes per string now. So on the A, we have the 4th fret. Jumping up to the 7th fret. Now, done again. So we're going over to the D, 4, and then finishing off on the higher octave A again. So that's the 7th fret. All together, 5, 7, 4, 7, 4, 7. Okay, so we've got one more shape to look at. So if we just bring up the minor shape again. Now to turn this into the minor pentatonic shape, we're going to get rid of 2 notes. Yeah, so if you notice, we've already got 2 notes per string, so we don't need to mess this about anymore, or change it around, should I say. So going through those notes again, we've got, again, we're starting on that A, so we've got that 5th fret. Now we're jumping up to the 8th. So 2 notes down, we're done with that string. Now we've got 5 on the A, 7 on the A, so done with that one, let's go down. 5 on the D, and then finishing off with that higher octave A, we've got 7 on the D. So all together, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7. So we've gone over a lot this week, but if you want something extra to practice, have a go at memorising all those scale shapes we've gone over so far. So we've had the major, the minor, and both the pentatonic versions of those scales. So have a practice of all of them in one position, and then maybe have a go at moving them into different positions. So it's not just the same shape that we've been going over in the videos, it can be a new shape that you've come up with. Just remember, as long as you've got those shapes down, if you're moving them, they should work out in that new key. There we go. So keep practicing and have a great week.